Very good quality.
This is the best.
LensCrafters, Merle Hay Mall, main entrance between Sears and Yonkers.
This is WHO TV 13 Des Moines.
Good morning. You are looking at a live shot of the White House where later this morning the Tower Commission will make public its long-awaited report on the Iran-Contra arms deal. While we still don't yet know the exact wording in the report, sources in Washington indicate that it will come down hard on embattled White House Chief of Staff Donald Regan. It will also say that the president, contrary to his claims, was trying to swap arms for hostages and was briefed on the arms deal on a regular basis. With such revelations, the Tower report is certain to deal a serious blow to the administration today, Thursday, February the 26th, 1987.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant, Gumbel, and Jane Pauley.
And good morning. Welcome to Today on a Thursday morning. Maybe a fine Thursday morning here in New York, but it's certain to prove a tough Thursday morning to take for folks down in the administration in Washington. We're going to get more on that Tower Commission report and what it's going to contain in just a little bit from John Palmer over the news desk. And then later this morning, in this half hour, we're going to look to another Washington controversy of considerable note. That's the B-1 bomber. The Air Force is saying that it may cost about $800 million to fix that bomber. But Les Aspin, who is chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, is saying the price tag could run to as much as $3 billion. We'll be talking to him in just about 15 minutes.
Some other things coming up this morning. Actress Leah Thompson will meet track stars Greg Foster and Diane Dixon, and Gene Shalit reviews a movie about a mannequin.
Let's move to the news desk and start this morning with John Palmer. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Bryant. Jane, in the news this morning, of course, first the Tower Commission report on the Iran-Contra affair to be released to the public later this morning. White House correspondent Andrea Mitchell standing by with a report. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning, John. Well, the Tower Board report is expected to be sharply critical of everyone involved in the operation, especially the National Security Council, but it will clear the president of any actual wrongdoing. Now, it will say that the president misled Congress and the American people, and that it really was an arms for hostage deal. It will be sharply critical of Oliver North and John Poindexter of the NSC, saying that they deceived the president, and it will recommend that in the future the NSC keep much better records of its decisions. The report is also expected to say that Vice President Bush and Secretaries Schultz and Weinberger did not do enough to stop the operation from proceeding. The Tower Board has found evidence of a political cover-up and suggests that those false chronologies were written to try to limit the damage control, rather to limit the president's role. It's a matter of damage control. The Tower Board will also say that because the president has given 3 different versions of his involvement, it cannot conclude definitely when he approved the deal, but it will suggest that Robert McFarlane's version is more logical than the version given by Donald Regan. Now, as for Regan, we've been told that he has been informed that he is being replaced as White House Chief of Staff. The Vice President and the President both canceled their weekend travel plans and will be here for summit meetings at the White House with longtime political friends and advisors to talk about a successor. We're told that among the candidates, which include former Senator Paul Laxalt, former Transportation Secretary Drew Lewis, and current Treasury Secretary James Baker, there is also a dark horse candidate, longtime Reagan friend and current ambassador to Great Britain, Charles Price. John?
Thanks, Andrea. At 11 o'clock Eastern Time this morning, President Reagan is expected to comment publicly on the Tower Commission findings. NBC News will carry the president's remarks, followed by a special NBC News report. More now on the Tower Commission from NBC News national correspondent Tom Pettit, again at the White House. Tom?
John, the Tower Commission worked long and hard for 3 months. It interviewed 58 different witnesses. It interviewed the president himself twice and all the living former presidents. It did not interview Ollie North or John Poindexter. This commission was appointed by the president himself, so it is a White House commission. And it was charged with answering some very specific questions. Was it an arms for hostages transaction? Was aid given to the Contras illegally? And did the National Security Council engage in covert activities against the best interests of the country? Those are the questions. We'll have the answers. The book, the Tower Commission report, will be on sale in the nation's bookstores next Monday. John?
Thank you, Tom. In other news, the chief of Syrian military intelligence in Lebanon this morning has denied a report carried on NBC Nightly News that 3 American citizens and an Indian national who had been taken hostage in Beirut last month are now in the hands of Syrian military forces in Lebanon. The 4 were kidnapped from a Beirut college. The NBC News report said the 4 were handed over to the Syrians to keep them from Hezbollah, the pro-Iranian extremist group believed to have kidnapped other Western hostages in Lebanon. The NBC report also said the Syrians would deny they had custody of the 4, pending diplomatic efforts to arrange for their release. The General Accounting Office, a congressional watchdog group, has issued a report on that costly B-1 bomber program. More on that from Pentagon correspondent Jim Miklaszewski.
The B-1's reviews are in, and some in Congress don't like them.
What we've got here is, looks to me like a pretty substantial disaster on the part of the Air Force.
A GAO report says the B-1s delivered so far have so many problems, they cannot be totally tested, and flight crews cannot be adequately trained to fly them. It disputes an Air Force claim that the B-1 is now the best warplane in the world.
It potentially could become the best bomber in the world if we wanted to characterize it that way. But I don't think that the Air Force is in a position to give those kinds of assurances.
The GAO says the B-1 suffers serious problems with its defensive electronics and flight control systems, that parts are cannibalized from some B-1s to keep others operational. The Air Force says the B-1's problems can be fixed. The GAO predicts that will take at least several years, but can't say how much it will cost. That concerns Armed Services Chairman Les Aspin.
If we start down this road towards fixes without knowing what we're talking about the total bill, I think we got some problems.
Aspin predicts it may take more than $3 billion to fix the trouble-plagued B-1. The GAO says the Air Force lacked candor in revealing the B-1's problems. And some in Congress say they'll use that lesson to better scrutinize future weapon systems. Jim Miklaszewski, NBC News, the Pentagon.
James Coco, the versatile Emmy Award-winning actor, died last night in New York City of a heart attack. Coco, who was 56, was the star of many Broadway shows, including Man of La Mancha and The Last of the Red Hot Lovers, and he won an Emmy for his appearance on St. Elsewhere. It's now 7 after 7. Here's Bryant.
All right, John, thanks very much. Time to take a check of the weather now. Mr. Scott, that's your defense. Good seeing you.
We're back together after our big party. That was a lovely party.
It was a very nice party.
And my old hotel did all right, don't you think? The Willard?
That's a
good
lovely
food.
hotel.
Isn't it pretty?
I've never been there, yeah.
They did a nice job.
Yeah, they had good food. I didn't taste any of it, but I'm told that.
Isn't that awful? When you go to a cocktail party like that and you do what we do, you don't always get a chance to get into it.
I didn't even get any wet stuff.
But I needed it. Not a drop. Didn't touch a drop. But James Coco, just a sweet, sweet man. I felt so badly about that. I heard that this morning. Got one note here for Duxbury, Massachusetts, if I could show this. Duxbury, Mass. is 350 years old this year. It was founded in 1637. Captain Miles Standish, remember him? Speak for yourself, John. And they actually got a deed from the Indians. They traded the town for 7 coats, 9 hatchets, 20 knives, 4 moose skins, and 10.5 yards of cotton. I have an agent like that. And made the same deal with the William Morris people. Let's check the act this morning and see, indeed, what we have for you. A couple of big stories. Heavy rain in Houston and New Orleans. Look out. You may get some severe thunderstorms this afternoon. Also, the winter storm in the west continues. It is a moose. This storm dumping more snow again today. Up to 42 inches of snow in the White Mountains. That's San Francisco peaks of beautiful Arizona. See the satellite map. Boy, it looks like the test. I just got back from my doctor. I've never seen so many problems. It's all over the place. Rain today, all the way from Georgia, back on up through the lower Mississippi Valley, but down through the southern plains as well. Southern Florida may have a couple of scattered showers from Orlando on, but otherwise it should be mostly sunny skies, but look for some heavy rains in northern Florida and the southeast. The place to be, I got to say, from Washington, D.C. to Boston, it is fabulous. The Ohio Valley is fabulous today. Seasonable temperatures, bright, beautiful sunshine. If you don't like the east, go west, young person. 47 in Seattle, maybe a scattered shower, but the northwestern quadrant, Southern California, fantastic today. Again, some lingering showers, thunder showers, and clouds, and some of that will be snow. Denver, look out, 7 to 10 inches. Denver could get hit heavy tonight and tomorrow. Otherwise, a lot of fog, a lot of rain, and just general, almost spring-like weather throughout most of the country today. Here's what's happening in your world this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Diane Roberts here on a Thursday. Your weather mostly cloudy today. Winds from the east at 10 miles per hour and highs in the upper 40s.
Delphia Eddy of Miami, West Virginia. I didn't know there was a Miami, West Virginia. She's 100 today. Happy birthday. 7:09. Here's Jane.
Thank you, Willard. And on Close Up this morning, the future of the Reagan presidency following disclosures of the Tower Commission report on the arms for hostage dealings with Iran. Joining us from our Washington newsroom is Norman Ornstein, resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute and a frequent commentator on the presidency in Congress, and welcome. I'm going to double back on myself just a moment and ask if maybe it isn't a little premature to start talking about the future of the Reagan presidency, is it?
Well, I think we're always going to talk about the future. Remember, we've only got a little more than a year and a half left in this presidency, so we've got to look at what the damage is now and look ahead to what remains in this presidency, given what we knew from the beginning, namely that with a president who is, by definition, a lame duck, there were going to be problems ahead regardless, even without the kind of scandal and difficulty that's occurred here. It's something we're going to have to look at very carefully no matter what.
All right, so what do you see lying ahead?
Oh, I think it's a very, very serious blow. Remember that with a Congress, the 100th Congress, the final 2 years of the Reagan presidency, we're going to have a short attention span and difficulty getting anything done no matter what. We have a presidential election coming up. The formal process starts less than a year from now. Basically, the first 6 months of the Congress are the time when things happen, the agenda gets set, the momentum takes place. This has all been blown away by this scandal, and it's going to get worse and worse with congressional investigations, televised hearings ahead. It's going to be very difficult for the president to recover. It's not over with by any means, but this is a terribly serious blow.
How significant is today? I mean, how much worse can the Tower report get that hasn't already come out in leaks?
Well, clearly, I think a lot of these leaks that have been coming out have cushioned the blow, at least to an extent. There won't be any major revelations today. We got to remember that this is a commission that started out being probably the most sympathetic body within the entire scope of the investigation that's going on. Its role was a relatively constrained one. It was supposed to look at the structural problems that took place. What we can expect from a special counsel and congressional investigations can only make it worse. And if you get a body set up by the president within the White House harshly criticizing what went on, it's not going to do much for the momentum or the morale or esprit inside the White House, or for the perception more broadly out there about where we're heading. It's not good.
If we assign a number 10 to Watergate, what number would you assign in historical terms to this scandal?
Well, frankly, Jane, I think it's too early to assign those numbers. This is early on in this process. We've still got a lot more to go in terms of who knew what, when it came out, and how broad this entire problem was, whether it was simply confined to Iran and to the Contras. At this point, though, you're talking about at least a 6, and once we get those hearings going and you get more finger pointing, it's not going to go down to a 5 or a 4 or a 3. It's only likely to go up to a 7 or an 8 or a 9.
But as Andrea Mitchell reported, the report apparently is not going to accuse the president of any wrongdoing, mismanagement, lack of attention, maybe that sort of thing, but nothing that would justify that word impeachment.
Okay, definitely. I think there's almost no chance that we're going to move in that horrendous direction. We've only got a year and a half plus of the administration left. There isn't any suggestion of presidential malfeasance or attempt to get personal gain or to profit directly politically from this. We're talking about policy blunders. And I think there's something else that we've got to keep in mind. Ronald Reagan never intended for the final 2 years of his presidency to be spent making major policy moves akin to what we had in 1981, to furthering the Reagan Revolution in big gulps. This was going to be a time of consolidation, of keeping disastrous things from happening. He's still got his veto. He's still got some great ability to keep 1/3 of the members of one House of Congress in line to keep Congress from doing great injustice and violence to what he's accomplished. He's still got some opportunities out there to show that he's got aggressiveness and intent to keep things on track. This is not completely over yet for Ronald Reagan, and the bottom line is that he's probably going to keep what he's accomplished in the Reagan Revolution from being undone. But the next year and a half are going to be awfully painful almost no matter what.
All right, well, we'll leave it at that for today. Norman Ornstein, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
We're coming up on 14 minutes after the hour. Back in a moment. This is Today on NBC.
It's that time. Time for the sale America waits for. Hoover Savings Time, USA. Now, save on every Hoover cleaner. Like the electric Hoover Quick Broom, the deep cleaning Hoover Upright, the powerful Spirit Power Nozzle Canister, and the Deluxe Decade 80 with Power Surge. Just $159. $169. $69. $29. For values like these, There's no time like Hoover Savings Time, USA.
Now at Vanderbilt True Value, Fort Dodge, 13th Street Vacuum Marshalltown, and Coast to Coast Algona.
A most incredible collection of handmade Oriental rugs are on display now at Nebraska Furniture Mart. Over $2 million worth of beautiful rugs from all over the world. India, China, Pakistan, Turkey, and more. Oriental rugs by Karastan for quality in all colors and sizes. Don't miss this incomparable showing of jewelry-like rugs from the East, all at low, low prices that you would expect from Nebraska Furniture Mart, Omaha.
Oh, Tateros, 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 Tateros. Tateros this, Tateros that.
Oh, the harmonious sounds of great taste and versatility. Yours with delicious, all-natural Tateros. The all-round hash brown.
Tateros, and they taste good plain.
Taste new golden crispy Tateros. The all-round hash brown.
An emergency sale message from World Radio.
Hello, I'm Juan Roque, General Manager of World Radio, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. Business is tough, sales are not great, and as a result, inventory is way too high. This is not a problem, this is an emergency, and I'm going to deal with it the best way I know, by cutting prices on every item in stock.
Buy this RCA 19-inch color TV, only $199.
We're serious about selling this inventory, so we're going to do whatever it takes. This sale will convince you that World Radio is the right store.
At 7:16, we want to turn our attention to the B-1 bomber. Now, every new weapons system has its teething problems, but critics of the $20 billion B-1 program believe that the bomber's problems are a lot more serious and expensive to fix. The Air Force wants $800 million more to make repairs in the B-1. But the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, Les Aspin, reports that it could cost more like $3 billion to make the B-1 operative. Representative Aspin, who is in our Washington newsroom, is holding committee hearings on the B-1 this week on Capitol Hill. And good morning, Congressman.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, sir?
Very good.
First off, is there any question in your mind the B-1 should be fixed, no matter the cost?
I think it should be fixed. I think there's some question to what extent we ought to fix it. Do we want to make it a penetrating bomber? But basically, we're stuck with it. The plane is going to be built. 100 of them are already rolling off the assembly lines, and we're going to end up with some form of bomber. The question is, how good a bomber we got?
If all it's going to be is a standoff system, a firing base, won't that have been one terrible waste of money?
It would have been a big waste of money, because you could have had built, if we'd have decided from the start to build a standoff weapon system which just fires cruise missiles at the target, we could have done that for a lot less money.
Yeah, let me turn to money if I could. As I think you're aware, General Lawrence Gantz, who's the head of the B-1 program for the Air Force, was on this program last week. And I want you to take a listen, because I asked him about the disparity in the estimates of how much it'll cost to fix. Your figure of $3 billion and his of $800 million. Here's what he said.
Well, the information in Congressman Aspin's memo is wrong. We signed a contract essentially with the Congress to do the program for $20.5 billion. We can still do that program for $20.5 billion. We're very confident we can do it. The $3 billion relates to something outside that baseline.
Can they do what needs to be done for $800 million?
No way. The $800 million is the down payment. I can't say for sure that my number of $3 billion is right. That's why I said it was an estimate on my part. But he doesn't know it isn't right. Nobody at this point knows exactly how much it's going to cost. But it is going to cost more money, and it is going to take time. My estimates are at least $3 billion and at least 4 years late.
As I think most people understand, the B-1 became the symbol of the president's commitment to a military buildup. In retrospect, was it a major mistake to try to develop and produce concurrently?
Produce and develop concurrently, I think that the answer to that is yes, that was a major mistake. I think it's always a major mistake. We thought we could do it because essentially a bomber like the B-1 is not a particularly technologically advanced system. So we thought, well, if we can do it with anything, we ought to be able to do it with a B-1, especially since we had a B-1 on the drawing boards. It's been on, it's been off. We've had the B-1 around for a long time. We thought we knew everything we needed to know that really counted about bombers, so we thought we ought to be able to produce it, develop it, test it concurrently. In other words, squeeze the schedule. Turned out we couldn't do it there. If we can't do it with a B-1, we shouldn't even attempt it with anything else. And the danger is that we've got a high degree of concurrency in the stealth program. We're about to make the same mistake with the stealth program. And that, it's even more risky. I mean, if we can't do it with the B-1, we sure can't do it with the stealth, because the technology of the stealth is far advanced to the B-1.
As I cited problem after problem here last week to the general, he identified the problems and said they are all fixable. Are you as confident as he is of that?
No, and there's some of them that are harder than others. Some clearly, I think, are fixable. But as the GAO reported to our committee yesterday, the Air Force has been less than candid with everybody on this program, on this B-1 program.
Is that to say there's been an intent to deceive Congress?
No, I just think that there's a tendency to look at these things through rose-colored glasses, to say, oh, well, we can fix that, that's easy, that's fixable. It's a natural tendency when you come back at somebody and say, look, you screwed up this program, you did something really seriously wrong here, to say, no, it's not that serious, we can fix it.
I want to do one other soundbite here, because the general insisted that despite all the problems, the B-1 is going to be able to fulfill the task for which it was intended. Watch this, and then I'd like your comment.
Okay.
What you have to understand, Mr. Gumbel, is that when you lay down a mission for a B-1B and you lay out that penetration route and you do that analysis, you take into account the B-1B as it is today, and it does have a defensive capability today. It has an excellent offensive capability. And based on that analysis, there isn't any question in our minds the B-1B today can penetrate against the threat it faces.
We've got less than 30 seconds, Congressman. Any doubt in your mind it's going to be ever as advertised?
I think that it's possible to be as advertised sometime in the future after spending a lot more money. There is no question that it is not what was advertised when we bought it.
By the time it's ready, could it be outdated?
Yes, it could be outdated. We could just get it just in time to have the Soviet air defenses improved so that it's we've got another problem with it.
Congressman Les Aspin, we thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
7:22. We'll be back in a moment after a break. This is Today on NBC.
Can we talk?
No.
Please?
Oh, this is cute.
For a delicious meal, you just can't find a better place than the Choice All-You-Care-to-Eat Smorgasbord. A bountiful soup and salad bar, large variety of entrees, open flame broiler with barbecued ribs, evenings and Sundays, there's even shish kebabs and royal roast baron of beef. Now the Choice introduces for lunch and dinner Oriental stir-fry shrimp, a delicious blend of shrimp and crisp vegetables stir-fried on the grill. All this under $4 for lunch, under $5 for dinner. Try the Choice All-You-Care-to-Eat Smorgasbord. 1801 22nd Street.
Because we have over 1,000 coast-to-coast stores, it gives us better buying power so that we can offer a better price to our customer and a bigger selection.
Save, too, during our total hardware sale on the Skill 3/8-inch cordless reversing drill and screwdriver. Only $24.99 after mail-in rebate. Add the Vermont American 13-piece high-speed twist drill bit set. Professional quality, just $7.88.
America's total hardware stores. Coast to coast.
Hurry, don't miss out. This president's birthday party at Toyota dealers is almost over. If you want a deal from a big selection of 87 Toyota cars, trucks, and vans in stock, move. If you want to sweeten your deal with a dealer incentive that could save you even more on every truck, cargo or panel van, and Toyota FX16, you'd better hurry. Stock is moving fast, but there's still time to celebrate with a #1 deal during the birthday celebration at Toyota dealers. Don't miss the party.
As a diver, I've learned to be very particular about minor details, and that affects how I like to dress. I like my tie and shirt to be just so, and I want my suit coat to be tailored right. And though I know I'm hard to fit in the legs and thighs, I want my pants to fit just right. Wearing the right thing at the right time is important. Foreman and Clark are the specialists in men's clothing and have skilled tailors in each store, so they can easily satisfy all my requirements, except, of course, for the suit I need when I'm working. But that's about the only suit they don't have.
In our next half hour, a couple of this nation's track stars will be dropping by, Greg Foster and Diana Dixon, and Gene Shalit will be in the Critics' Corner, checking out Mannequin after a station.
I'm Tom Brokaw. Can the Reagan administration recover from the Iran arms affair? What's the president's next move? Find out in an NBC News special, Reagan in Crisis, tonight.
From Iowa's award-winning News Center, this is News Center 13, live from Des Moines. Brought to you by Bob Brown Chevrolet, Isuzu.
Good morning, everyone. Diane Roberts here, and it really is Thursday today. Earlier this week, I don't know, I was confused. I thought it was Thursday. It was only Tuesday. Now it really is Thursday, and I guess I'm happy about that. Who knows? Let's take a look.